Hey everybody, I'm Zach and I'm making a game. This is our third week in GameDev, marching ever closer to our very soon demo. So let's jump into the week. So we started this week with a low point. Actually, our low point of the week. Woo! Monday, I really got bogged down with video editing. Usually I have Saturday and Sunday, but Saturday I was at the Full Indies Summit all day, and I usually use that for some script writing and some, putting together my week of videos. And then it was just Sunday, and then I had some problems with the two editors I were using. I'm always trying, this show is kind of just getting started, and I'm always trying different techniques, and these two programs, they just had different issues. Put multiple hours into each, and neither really turned out great on Sunday, so I just had to fall back to Shotcut, which is what I've been using, which is very limited, has a lot of bugs, but I can actually get an episode out. But yeah, that was all of Monday. But really, my week started on Tuesday. So immediately, the first thing I did on Tuesday was fix the biggest game breaker, which was the cascading delete issue, which was leaving null references in my scene, which caused all kinds of things to break without letting you know. So now when you delete a node, it will delete any of the segments attached to it and any patches that include that node. So now that is fixed, don't have to deal with that anymore. Then after that, got to our Bezier edit GUI, starting to remake some of that, which was far better than expected, far more enjoyable than I expected, because when I think about polish, I usually think about, end user polish. I think of, make sure things feel good for someone who's playing it, but I never think of polish for myself. And this is my own tool that really only I'll see. And I never think about, making that better, because I don't really care if I have to deal with minor annoyances, but when I actually put the polish in those tools, those annoyances go away, and I'm like, wow, I didn't I didn't expect things to be easier when I make things easier on myself. So that's working. I did a bunch of work on Tuesday. It brought us to our Tool Bug Award of the week. If you're making an editor GUI, you're making a tool for your editor, and you want to put images on that tool, so like you don't want to have text, you want to have buttons like every single program these days has. You think, oh, I'm going to use a sprite sheet. I'm going to have one big image, and I'm going to cut out of that image tinier images. That's supported in Unity, but it turns out it's not supported in Unity. If you try to use those sprite sheets in the editor GUI, they just don't work. They have to be discrete images, which just lets you know, if you want to make a globally successful game engine, make sure if you make a feature for it, it's only supported in parts of the engine. Not the whole engine. You don't want it to be, anywhere you use images to support sprite sheets, because who needs that? So Wednesday, I did a little bit more work on the Bezier edit GUI, and then I started work on triangular Bezier patches, because previously the system I have only actually supported rectangle-based Bezier patches, because it's slightly different math. But in order to support literally any shape, you have to have triangles. Don't let the Saturn people tell you otherwise, because that system only supported quads, and there's a reason why people don't use that. So I talked about a little last week about there were two different approaches I could use. One was super hacky, and one was actually correct. And I thought, hey, it's only Wednesday, might as well try the correct one first. And it actually worked. I actually have real 3-point Bezier patches working in the engine. I thought there were going to be a bunch of places where I had hard-coded 4, or where the algorithms were depending on 4 points. But it turns out there wasn't as many as I thought, and save for a little bit of math inefficiencies, it's working. It's completely done, and that's the high point of the week. It's end of Wednesday, and I finished all the stuff I planned to get done this week, which is amazing. I get to do new stuff. So Thursday, we're getting into our technical deep dive of the week, which I'm keeping it to 1 from now on, because previous weeks the whole episode was a technical deep dive. But still doing one a week. So this week we're talking about guardrails. Essentially, the last thing we need for a demo is some way to keep you from falling off the side of the track. So previously, the system we had, it supported a hard-coded guardrail node. So you could have one road node that gets placed a certain distance from the center of the road, and that guardrail gets pointed up from that. It's extruded on the normal of the road up, and that sort of works, but it only supports guardrails. That's it. And what we want to support are things like tunnels, things like sidewalks, anything that you could put along the side of the road. We want it to support and work with. So I decided to solve this by using something called edge manifolds. So an edge manifold, it's a 2D shape that's stored in a prefab, which has nodes, Bezier nodes, which are connected to each other, and it has tangential nodes, which will connect to each other along the line, and it has cross nodes, which will connect across the street. So this seems like it would be easy, but it has a really tough issue in that the tangential nodes are actually at different offsets away from the road. And like I talked in a previous episode, when you offset a Bezier curve, you might have to clip earlier on a corner. So essentially at corners, the further offset at a corner, you could have to remove more nodes, and then you're going to have partial manifolds, because certain manifolds will have some nodes and others won't have those nodes because some are removed. So there's no great way to solve this. Really, I place them at the points I put the street nodes at. I did before. I place the manifold, just copy and align with the normal and the tangent direction. And then once they're placed to do the clipping, I iterate over them, create lists of the tangential connectors and iterate those separately, and then connect those separately. So we initially treat them as discrete manifolds, and then we actually treat them as lists of tangents. It took me most of all of Thursday and some of Friday and some of Wednesday even. It's an ugly solution, but it's functional. I wish I could have come up with something better, but it was the easiest way I can think of to extend this guardrail system. So Friday, like I said, I was working a bit more on finishing up that edge manifold stuff. But once that was done, I started on course design, which was really fun. It was a lot of sketching on paper, and then I'm starting to place the roads and get their widths down. And I actually did a little more editing of my Bezier Edit GUI, as I found as I was editing there were some things that I wanted to change with it. But yeah, I'm really excited to finish it up next week and add more to it. So next week, like I was mentioning, I think Monday and Tuesday I'm going to be finishing up the basic course layout and doing some testing on it, making sure that I like the overall feel of where the track is. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, probably be working on getting split screen working again. At some point I did have split screen working, but that was eons ago. It was a long time ago. I'm guessing it's completely broken. And then after that's done, just going to be working on polish, making sure everything looks good, maybe getting a main menu for the demo. Yeah, and then maybe I'll start trying my AI that I previously worked on last week and getting my AI on the course. I'm guessing it's going to need a lot of tweaks because it was really general before. That was the week, and that's next week. I think that'll be all for now. I'll talk to you guys next week, and hopefully have a demo for you. Definitely have a demo for you. Thanks for watching. Later.